How long you think it was gonna take before we got here? Now you gotta prove yourself all over again. Come on.
Ain't nobody coming, I've been gunning from 100 yards, trying to hit my mark, missing every time. This will be the start of the picture perfect. Watch you.
Good morning, Mr. Charles. How are you today?
All right, how's it going?
I don't really know, man. What time did you get the email from me? 1:30 in the morning?
Yeah, something like that.
Yes. So 1:30 in the morning, I finished. I started at like 7 in the morning yesterday, and I pretty much sat there at my desk, glued to my chair, except for occasional few-minute breaks, all the way until then, getting all that Kentucky Derby stuff ready for the wagering guide, which you can get over at Guaranteed Tip Sheet. Tons and tons and tons of work. Maybe not, the picks won't be perfect. I wish they would be perfect, Charles, but absolutely 1,000% prepared. If you're going to play Laurel Park today, it is the free track at Guaranteed Tip Sheet. You can get that along with all of the picks for the Kentucky Derby, the Kentucky Oaks, and 16 stakes races and something like, 25 races over 2 days, 26 races?
Yeah, something silly like that.
Yeah, it's just woof. My elbows and shoulders are fatigued from resting my arms on the desk for so many hours. Hopefully my brain is not. How did it go for you guys yesterday with Churchill?
Did well. I actually did pretty well. Hit a lot of tries and stuff like that. So, yeah, everything went pretty good. Wish we had the charts up, but I think we try to cover it the best we can when it, showing them and telling them who was the speed and all that stuff. Yeah.
All right. Well, last night, real quick, and then we'll get rolling today. I did not have a chance to watch it, but last night Paco Lopez made his debut on Horse Center. I'm going to go back and watch it, so you should go back and watch it if you haven't. Again, right here on Horse Racing Radar TV, always getting some of the best guests. Again, the night before we had on Larry Ravelli, the trainer of Two Phils, who will be running on Saturday as well, as will Paco. Paco's leaving from the 19th shop, right? That's where he's leaving.
Yeah.
Wearing the 19. All right. So the first race at Belmont coming up, Charles. This one is not a lot going on here. You got 5 furlongs. It's a maiden special weight for $90,000. All first-time starters. Really don't have much to go with. We can't do simulations. Can't look at any kind of previous running. So the only thing we can go with right now is our pick. So let's get started with opening day at Belmont. Tell us how you're going to start the meet, Charles.
Well, with the 5 is my top choice here. This horse's Dam has got 4 winners from 5 starters, and 3 of them are stakes races. So she passes along some good quality stock, and she's got solid works. Ward gets 29% with first timers, and Jose Ortiz is starting to get on fire a little bit. So I think he's going to have a very, very good day today at Belmont.
And he should.
Yeah, he should.
A lot of good horses to ride today.
He's got a lot of horses to ride, and they're all live.
The last time we said that was about his brother down at Gulfstream, and we didn't have the best day.
Yeah, well, his brother usually gets a lot of live horses anyway. So the one horse is my second choice here. The Dam has 1 winner from 2 starters. This one's bred for speed. Paco is aboard, and the 3 horse is my third choice here. Bred very well. The horse has got some solid works. Ward gets 31% overall. And then my price horse in this race would be the 4. This is another one that's bred for speed. Solid works. Trainer gets 23% overall.
You're going to do a little bit of bet to get started with your $100 budget after Charles, after being nearly perfect, according to Terry yesterday?
Ice cold. $10 exacta 5 on top of the 1.
I'm going to start with the 5. That's the Wesley Ward first-time starter, rash of bullet workouts, 4 to 5 morning line odds, probably going to be lower than that by the time they run. I'm going to take the 4 horse, the second spot in here, Leslie's Loot. I like the April 15th workout, 3 furlongs at 35 and 4. Might be the best workout out of any of these horses during the course of their preparation. Round the town, that 1 horse, a little better works than the 3 horse, which is next for me, another Wesley Ward horse. The only one that leaves now is the 2 horse. I'm going to do $1 exacta. The 5 horse is going to be the one everybody's going to play on. I think right now the 5 horses odds looking at Belmont are, hold on one second.
2 to 5.
What are they, 3 to 5?
2 to 5.
2 to 5, and probably going to go lower, I would suspect. Yeah, my computers are just a little bit slow right now. I don't know why, but hopefully it changes. So they're about to start that race, Charles. So let's see if maybe that race will go off while we're here. But again, my computer, yeah, they're loading up right now. So we'll just stick around for race number 1 before we head off to race number 2. See how this maiden race of 5 horses in 5 furlongs goes to start the Belmont card as the Triple Crown season gets cracking.
Is this the first 5 furlong race for 2-year-olds this year?
At this track?
At all tracks. I know this track's
I think, didn't they have a 5 furlong race or they're all 4.5 furlongs? They might be.
They were all 4.5.
Yeah. I think there was. Remember, I think I recall a 5.5 furlong race for 2-year-olds, but I don't remember. I think there was one the other day at Parks. That was 5, maybe 5.5 furlongs. Maybe it was 4.5. I don't recall off the top of my head. Too much swirling around in my brain right now up there, Charles. So yes, the 5 horse right now is the 2-5 favorite. Next up is the 1 horse. That's Charles's Ice Cold Exacta for $10. I take a little flyer with the 4 horse at 13-1. So we'll see what goes on with that. I guess if it's a good sign, the 4 horse is without the lead pony, but as is the 2 horse, the 2 longest shots. Everybody else is kind of hanging around with the lead pony. So I don't know what to make of that, Charles.
It's different. I mean, the pony's there to keep them, calm and all that stuff, especially babies.
Mm-hmm.
But when you don't have the pony, sometimes they might get a little worked up because of the pony. So, it just depends on the horse. Just like human beings are all different.
Well, from talking to jockeys, and most of them have said that if they feel the horse is, I guess Jose said basically he wants to get the horse away from the lead pony, get out there working around, and he's found that the horses that are able to get away from the lead pony, for him at least anyway, tend to perform a little bit better. So maybe it's a good omen for the 2 and the 5, the 2 long shots there, that they were venturing about the track by themselves prior to their first start. So the 1 has gone in, no problems there. So he was well schooled by trainer John Service. The 2 horse goes in as well without much question. So good work there too for James Chapman. The 3 horse, another that just strolled right on in like an old pro. So far, so good. 4 horse, the one I'm hoping takes the shot. Yeah, now, of course, the one I want, he's the one that says, I don't want none of that. He just got a little energy to him, but they didn't grab his tail or nothing. So what we learned with Larry Ravelli seems to be working. Now they got to shove his rear end a little bit in there to fit him in. You want to go all the way in. 5 horse.
Yeah, you could grab the ears, but not the tail.
Yeah, that's what Larry Ravelli said. Yeah, he did. So you grab the tail, look out. So I think that's it, right? Yep, they're all and they're off. Boy, what a funky start, boy.
That was.
The 1 horse jumped straight up in the air. The 4 horse is on the inside of the 5. And right now, he looked like he was the most ready to run, Charles. He's got the lead right now. Let's see if he can maintain that lead. Yeah, he's going through. He's looking pretty. He should have probably went 5-4, Charles, instead, huh?
Probably. Well, that, like you said, the 1 hopped in the air at the start, so that didn't help.
No, it didn't help the 1 at all. So they're coming down the stretch here. 4 horse doesn't look too bad, Charles, to me right now. He's cutting the corner pretty well. His legs are a little bit wide. Probably not want to see. And let's see if he can hang on. I don't think so. I think the 5 is going to go. Yeah, the 5 is running a little sideways. Maybe open the door for the 4 to come back. But the 4 is really circle that 4 for the next race. Because, I mean, the 5 horse is a Wesley Ward horse, probably a pretty good horse. And he's kind of gearing down a little bit now, as is the 4 horse. Nice hold on the 5. So it's going to go 5, then it's going to go 4, and then it looks like the 3. 5, 4, 3. Should have just bet the
5, 4, 3, 1.
Yeah, should have bet the trifecta instead, right? Yeah, well.
Should have bet the tri, but that ain't going to pay nothing.
Yeah, but that 4 broke sharply. Yeah, but I could have did it straight 5-4 over the 1-3. That would have paid, for a buck. That would have paid a little bit of money anyway. All right, so that gets us through the opener there. Win as expected, the 5, then the 4, and then the 3, and then the 1, and the one that neither one of us had, the 2 horse, did finish dead last. So we got that somewhat correct, considering we had very little to work with. Let's see if we can get, other than the morning line odds, let's see if we can get race number 2 correct on our books, Charles, too. In the second race at Belmont Park today, going to run 6 furlongs. It's not going to be on the inner turf, I don't think, because I do think that the early grass races were canceled, but the later grass races were left on the turf. I guess listed as good now, but the weather's supposed to clear up, so I think you'll probably see them run in the afternoon. 6 furlongs, Charles. Well, we don't really have 6 furlongs on the dirt anywhere in here, so I can't really tell you what the bias was last year. So let's go ahead and just talk a little bit about what our simulations look like for race number 2. You see here 1,000 simulations we have for odds based upon speed figures, early speed based upon early pace figures, and then C-zone. Horses that should get comfortable trips based upon the pace of this race. And Mr. Charles, it looks like most of the speed has moved to the sidelines.
Yeah, especially with that 2 being scratched out. That was the main speed of them all. But, the 8 was going to be no slouch either. So that kind of really leaves this race wide open, in my opinion. Who's going to have the real lead? Who knows? Probably the 3, but I think there's going to be a couple others. Maybe the 6 might take that lead. I think that 6 might have a good shot at that. And then when it comes to simulation odds, it looks like, is there anybody? 3, slightly under 4-1. We got an 8-1 morning line, and then we got the 5 at 5-1. Morning line is 20-1. So that ain't too bad on those 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Scary Creations likes that. Rudder hand ride, gear down, canter. My guess, Ward will take that one to Ascot. Yeah, that's coming up in June. And, of course, Tom and I will cover the Ascot every single day in our Foreign Fridays. I don't think we're going to do anything tomorrow. I know tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, myself, Charles, probably Terry, if he feels up to it, and Thomas. Sean, you're welcome to join us too if you want, if you have the availability. We're going to do a Derby Oaks double preview. That'll be at 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central where I am, 6 o'clock out on the West Coast with our good friend Terry. We do have a chance to look at the pace set up in this race with the scratches nixed out. The 1 and the 7, they're E-horses. They want to pilot. The 3 and the 5 want to co-pilot. Let's see where they'll be at the quarter-mile marker. It looks like none of them might be. That 6-horse, Icy Stare Down, the PC type. A lot of versatility in his game. Could go forward, could sit behind those 4 and let them duke it out and then try to come home late. As far as the late speed is concerned, pretty competitive, minus the 6 and the 9. Icy Stare Down, get off to that big lead. We'll have to hold on. And if we add the front and the back, the 5, 1, 3, and the 6 look like they have an advantage over the 7 and 9. In this short field, odds are you're going to find the winner in that combination of 4, Charles. Which one did you pick?
Yeah, I really had a tough time in this race after the scratches.
All my top 3 picks got scratched out.
I'm going to lean towards the 1 a little bit over the 6. I'm not going to try to take anything away from the 6, but the 1 does have some speed, but I think it's more tactical. You can sit right off of him. This horse cuts back in class today. Back in distance. Maker gets 20% when he takes a horse from route to sprint, and you got Franco on the board, so that makes this horse a little dangerous, but I think that 6 is going to have a lot to say about it. This one I think is going to be the speed of the race. Ran 3rd last time out. You got Rice and Ortiz combo there, and then the 3 horse is my 3rd choice. This horse ran even last time out, has some speed, hot at the claim box in the past year 4 times.
So if he was up there, would you go buy him, Charles, today?
No, I think he's a little overpriced today.
All right.
The 5 is my final choice. This horse won last time out. It's got some of that tactical speed, and the trainer gets 21% overall. And I like I said, I think it's wide open. That's why in my pick 4, I went all 4 of my picks with my top 2 picks in the 2nd and 3rd leg, and then going with my top 3 picks in the final 4th.
Well, as I mentioned, my top 2, and then the 6 was my 3rd, and then the other was my 4th pick. So the 6 horse then defaults up to number 1 with a whole bunch of other horses that were behind him, and now benefits greatly, I think, with all the other speed out of this race. So it's going to be probably 2nd, maybe behind a 3 horse. Does have the strongest C-zone score by a pretty good margin. So we're going to knock that one up as a single in my pick 4, Charles, with that 6 horse. Icy Stare Down. It's also first off the claim, as you mentioned, for trainer Linda Rice. She wins at 22%. With that, Brisky Frolic, the 1 horse, does have some early speed in here. Should benefit from dropping in class as well. Just the Nyquist, the 5, won her last race, which was nice. The race internals were better from the beginning to the middle and the end. Question for me is the move up in class here. And then finally, Fantail does have plenty of back class for this group. It is an overlay, as you see as well. And if she can find that back class, does have, of all the horses that are left, the best chance to have the lead at the quarter mile marker. And if she can find her a little bit deeper in her resume, a couple of jobs down on LinkedIn, she could go wire to wire in here. I'm going to single up the 6 because it is the only one left standing of my original picks. So 6 over the 1A, 2, 3, 5, over the 7, 9, over the 2, 4, 7, and 8. And honestly, I didn't add up the math. I don't think I went over 100, Terry. I tried to stay as low as I could. So I'm pretty sure I did stay under that.
Terry, we know he went over. Go ahead and just tell him he went over.
No, there's no chance I went over. I probably saved a lot of money in there, I would suspect, because we have a $100 budget. And with that $100 budget, we try to make bets in as many races as we can and see how we do. It does at times kind of limit you because it seems like every time I lose a pick 4, I'll pick my first 2, and then the third one will win and beat me. It happens over and over. Race 3, they're going to run a mile and a 16th on the main track. It's interesting that at Belmont, a mile and a 16th is only a 1-turn race. So you can see over here in the window. The claiming price is $20,000, but the purse is $48,000. When they ran a mile and a 16th last year, it did favor early speed. 27% of the horses went wire to wire. The rail horse did not fare well. 2 through 7 played fair. 8 and out did the best. So it looks like the farther you are from the rail, the better off you will be. And let's see how you will be when the race gets started in race number 3 with the early speed. It looks like a Caribbean or Caribbean, depending upon how you pronounce it, should be on the lead.
Yeah, with when you do 1-turn miles or 1-turn now at mile and 16th, it benefits speed horses a little bit. So in this simulation odds, we got the 2 horse here, basically 59%.
So
chance.
Is it Caribbean or Caribbean for you?
I would say Caribbean.
Caribbean, all right.
So a 59% chance of having the lead at the quarter pole. And, maybe the 4 might be pushing that horse along. You got a couple other horses in there with little speed. So he's not going to have a super easy lead. So with that being said, our simulation odds, we have the 2 horse at even money and the morning line's 2.5. And I think that will be it when it comes to simulation odds and overlays.
Yes, that is. And then everybody in here, minus the 2 and the 1, Grump's Little Tots, should get a race shape that fits them nicely. As far as their way to the winner's circle is concerned, you can see that none of them really have been winners when they've taken to the front. There's not an E or EP type here. So early speed could be an issue. Maybe you get on the lead and they might feel uncomfortable. So Gentleman Joe or Sailor Speed might get up there, not necessarily like where they're at, although the 7 as a PC type would probably defer to the 5, let him take charge and then see if he can run off the pace. Doesn't have a whole lot of late speed, though. That belongs heavily to the entry, the 1 and the 1A, capturing the top 2 spots and distancing themselves from Hammerlin Amar. Finally, if we look at the early speed, late speed combination, we do see the 1A Durkin's call clicks out 7 points higher than anybody else in here, Charles. So do you think the 1A has a shot to win?
It has a shot, but I still think the 2 is the winner here. I think it's got more of the tactical speed to go around and sit either on the lead or take it over right away. The 2 is my top choice. Ran second last time out. You got Ortiz Rice combo again. You're going to see that a lot today. Mm-hmm. Rice has 22% first off the claim. So it's a great angle for this horse. And then my second choice is that 5. The 5 here is it's got some of that tactical speed. It will definitely be moving at the end. Drops in class. Davis is back on him. So I think this horse is going to fire today a little bit. And then the 3 is my third choice. Ran third last time out. Drops in class. You got a hot trainer in the last 14 days there. And then that 6 drops in class, tactical speed, and totally fits with this group.
$2 exact box, 2.5 for you.
That's it. 2.5, my top 2 choices.
2.5 for Mr. Charles. 25. Who's the best football player that you can think of that wore 25, Charles? Would that be The running Eric Dickerson, did he wear 25? I would put him as the top football player to wear 25. What are your thoughts on that, Charles?
I don't know. I'm trying to think who wore 25s.
Yeah, and I think the only one I can remember is Eric
What did
Dickerson.
Peyton?
He had 34.
34.
Yeah. I mean, that's a Chicago icon. I wouldn't get that one.
I knew you wouldn't get that one wrong.
Hammerlin Amir, the 3-horse. I hope I don't get this one wrong either, Charles. Taking a little bit of drop in class after running some faster fractions last out. And I like this horse for Trevor McCarthy because it's not a front runner. It's one that likes to come from off the pace. And it seems to me Trevor is exceptional at saving horse for the end of the race. I really prefer him on stalkers and closers than speed horses. 1A, the Durkins Call. Cutting in class here today, Charles. The last race was a little bit better than it looks on paper, as the horse ran faster fractions and better pace figures through the first half mile. Caribbean or Caribbean, depending upon how you pronounce it. I'm sure in other places there's a third or fourth alliteration. Tied for the top last race speed figure. It's a claim and rise for Linda Rice here, which is a little bit of a concern for me. Consistent performer, and I think shaving off a little bit of distance might be helpful. Finally, Gentleman Joe. I have known a few people in my life named Joe, and I can't think of too many of them are gentlemen. How about you? One guy, yes, but for the most part, no. What about you, Charles?
I don't know. I would say, yeah, one guy, yes, but I don't know.
Anyway, this one I think could be a part of the early speed. Gentleman Joe for sure. Definitely ran better fractions last time out. So early speed, pretty high. I think the highest C-zone score. Got to give that one a crack. Trifecta for me, the 1A, 2, 3 over just the plain A. There's no 1 there for me, but it's supposed to be a 1 there. Over the 1A, 3 with the 1A, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The next up for us is race number 4. I'm feeling actually a little bit almost delirious, Charles, after the last 24 hours. Race 4, in this case, they're going to go a mile. I think this one is on the dirt track, Mr. Charles.
Yes, that one is on the dirt. I know it's after this race, I think, then they're on dirt.
Yeah, so at 1 mile on the regular dirt, it does favor early speed. 31% go wire to wire. And again, we'll find a very strong inside to outside post bias. At least that's what happened the last time they ran at Belmont Park. This time when they run at Belmont Park in race number 4, with Saratoga Gaze out, Captivating Cara is going to captivate the crowd at the opening quarter.
Yeah, the 2 here is actually it's going to be it's the 2. 42% chance of having that lead at the quarter pole, especially with the 5 being scratched out. I think it's even more so than that, probably closer to 60 or 70% of having that lead at the quarter pole. I don't know who really is going to go out and challenge them, to be honest with you. When it comes to simulation odds, we pretty much don't have an overlay here, and they're all going to drop anyway. So I don't think we're going to have one.
And plenty of horses in here that have high C-zone scores. The 2-horse might be a little bit of an interesting play with the other speed scratching, considering it's going to have a really strong chance to get the lead. And then, because all the other horses that had any chance to get the lead, they're on the sidelines today in the C-zone score. So clearly that horse is not uncomfortable being on the lead. Maybe we should have snuck that one into our picks as an opportunity to go wire to wire at a price. When we see how the race might play out in terms of where horses want to be when they win, the 3-horse Smoke Eyes wants to be on the lead, but in all likelihood, that's going to go to Captivating Cara. 9-point advantage over everybody else. We're all bunched up. So 2 gets to the lead. Everybody else kind of snuggles up amongst each other. Again, very competitive down the end, except for Captivating Cara. A little bit of a tail off as they come down to the stretch, but maybe the lead will be big enough that they won't be able to catch that one. We'll see. Finally, if you look at the early speed, late speed, very, very competitive race. Maybe it does make sense to take longer odds in this race, Charles. Not 100% sure. How do you see it playing out?
Well, yeah, with these scratches, it kind of messed everything up. But I think I took the 3 on top. And the reasons why, this horse does have some speed to at least keep up with the 2. And it has, Clement is the trainer. This horse could be able to rate. And this horse ran second last time out, drops in class. And you got that Ortiz-Clement combo now. And they add the Lasix. So, I got to lean with the 3 there. The 9 is my second choice here. One last time out, Rice gets 22% first after the claim, and this one definitely will be closing at the end. And then the 7 is my third choice. This horse ran second last time. He does have some speed also to maybe even push, the 2. Second start after a layoff. Rice gets 18% with that angle. So Rice has got a lot of live horses today herself. And then the 8 horse is my final pick in here. Another one with tactical speed, adds the blinker, second start after a layoff. And another favorite angle is the second start with Lasix.
Well, Collaboration does get second start with Lasix in here, Charles, for Linda Rice. And when she does that, she doses them up with the Bold L. The second time around, they win at 26%. The horse, as you mentioned, does have some early speed, but if you check out the past performances, also came from way back to win one. So has some versatility. It's not lead or pace dependent. I like that. Terry likes those versatile horses too. The 9 horse, Amanda's Folly, gets the second nod for me. Trainer Linda Rice wanted this one on the main track only. Here it is on the main track, although she better be careful for what she wished, because the only other time the horse ran on an off track, it didn't fare so well. Smoky Eyes, the 3 horse, is taking a nice class drop in here. Been off since November, but the workouts were just okay, in my opinion. Charles, maybe you had a different thought on those workouts. And another concern for me was the only other time the horse made a race after a little bit of time off was its debut. Finished second and kind of tailed off a little bit at the end of that race. So maybe it's one of those horses that needs to get oiled up and then go out the next time around as the horse to beat. And finally, Lady Jasmine has beaten quite a few horses in here already, upped her game and her form a little bit from race to race in her early career. And the only other time the horse had a second start off a layoff was post-debut. That was a sizable uptick. So let's see if you can do it again. I'm going to go try 7-9, 3-7-9 over to 3, 4, 7, 8, and 9, which is pretty much the only horse I don't have in there is the 2, which is going to be on the lead and kill my trifecta probably anyway. Charles, what do you think?
No, I think there's enough there to pressure that horse there between the 3 and possibly, like you said, there's a couple other horses like the 7 and the 8. So.
Well, the 5th race, they're going to go a mile and an eighth on the inner turf. And if I remember correctly, this one is on the turf still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's because it's one of the high price races of the day. Allowance $95,000. Non-winners of 1. Other than maiden claiming starter, state bred, have never won 2 races. The purse here is $95,000. They ran 5 races last year, mile and a last meet anyway, at the distance and surface. 2 of them went wire to wire. Tactical speed does the best. None won from the rail. None won from 8 and out. 2 and 3 were fair in the limited data set. 4 through 7, again, just in 5 races, they proved to be the best. In the 5th race, Charles, speed might be a factor. If it is, not far now. He may be far ahead of everybody else.
Basically almost a 90% chance of having that lead at the quarter pole. Yeah, maybe so. But, I still think there's other speed in there to keep him at least honest and be right on his tail. Maybe.
Well, one would hope, right? I mean, he gets out in the opening quarter in 52 and nobody's behind him. Kiss him goodbye.
Yeah, I think the 2, possibly the 8. I mean, those are in the 7. Those 3 right there, I think they could keep him honest personally. Mm-hmm. The simulation odds, we got the 1 at slightly under 8-1. You got a morning line of 20-1. That's a nice overlay.
Real nice.
And that is it when it comes to overlays.
Only overlay. And C-zone score belongs to inflation adjusted, something we're all doing in these days, getting inflation adjusted. Unfortunately, can we get a little bit of deflation for once in a while? Deflation is not the best thing either. How about just, predictable moderate price rises where income goes up a little faster than the cost of goods? Enough of my economics lessons. Looking at this race, Charles, we got 3 horses that want to be on the lead, the 2, the 3, and the 7. So QF 75, the 3 horse, not far now, who we thought would be the leader. Fighter in the Wind, and the early pace does say that not far now has a 6-point advantage over the next 8-point advantage over the next closest horse. Every 5 points is about a length. So that one could be a length and a half up on everybody at the quarter mile marker. still has a little bit of late pace in there to keep him close as they come down the stretch. Although Al's Rocket has an 8-point late pace advantage, should be in the mix early on with everybody else in terms of early speed. And the early pace plus late pace combination, neither one of us have them, Charles. That 3-horse might get out to the lead and not give it up, in which case you and I are going to be upset that neither of us put it in our picks.
Well, yeah, but you know what? I'm still going off of how I think the race is going to – I think he's going to be pressured enough or he'll fold like a deck of cards. Anyway, the 4 is my top choice. The horse has got tactical speed. You got Ortiz, Todd, Fletcher as a combo. Todd gets 22%, 90-plus days. So you got a really fresh horse here. You might even see him closer to the pace too. The 2 horse has some of that speed to keep him honest. That big old 3 horse, and this horse cuts back in distance. Clement gets 19%, 90-plus days. Franco's aboard, and the 8 horse ran second last time out. Another one with tactical speed. Maker gets 18% overall, and the 7 horse, which is one of them I really think is going to be out there pushing, drops in class. Maker gets 17% with 90-plus days off, so this one's a fresh horse.
I'm going to probably feel bad that I don't have that. I hope I have him in the back end of mine and he just tails off in my trifecta. I actually do have him in there. Inflation adjusted. This is one of those horses that has a high floor, low ceiling. So you see race after race, they look a lot the same in the past performances. What I do like about this is he did win the lone time. He ran around the Belmont Park track on the grass, and the times where he does have a big bump in performance, at least so far, has been in the second start after a layoff. So I think he'll be a little better today than he's been. Al's Rocket, as you mentioned, Todd Pletcher, Jose Ortiz. In the 4 races that this horse has run with Jose piloting it, horse is less than a length away from winning 3 of those. Hasn't really won. I think won 1, second a couple times by a length or 3/4, somewhere in there. So really close. Jose seems to get the most out of Al's Rocket. QF 75 does have the best Belmont numbers by a pretty good margin. But here we have Trevor on a front runner. I'm not the biggest. I'm absolute fan of Trevor, but I really like him best when he has a horse that he can bring from back of the pack instead of or middle of the pack, than one where he's got to fend everybody off at the end. Fighter in the win. The 7 horse is taking a significant class drop. That last race, there's no other way to put it. It sucked. Charles, maybe he didn't like the slop. Beware if it gets any wetter, although the forecast says it's supposed to get a little bit better today. 50 cent try for me. The 4, the 8, over to 2, 4, 8, over to 2, 3, 4, 7, and the 8 horse. Yeah, we're making our way through this card pretty quickly, Charles. I'm feeling good about what we're doing. Hopefully it's an indication that we know what we're doing today and actually can go perfect like you did yesterday, according to Terry.
Well, I mean, I wasn't perfect, but I did pretty good. It was I did some damage.
Well, you didn't do damage. You did good. You did some bankroll repair, my friend.
Well, the track was calling me and asked me not to bet today at Churchill.
Oh, yeah, sure. They tell you to save it all for the weekend, right? For the Oaks and the Derby. Yeah,
please.
All right. So 1 mile allowance, $50,000. The purse is 65. We just talked a little bit about the profile of a winner at 1 mile. On the course there, it does favor early speed with 3 out of 10 going wire to wire. The closer you are to the rail, the better, despite the fact that you got that long backstretch before you go into the 1-turn mile, Charles. Inside speed works in race number 6. As far as inside speed, icy reply. Once again, we see that 3 horse. Must be something about being a blue 3 today and being fast.
Yeah, right. 74% chance of having that lead at the quarter pole. But, there is plenty of other speed in here to keep that horse honest. And I think overall this race is kind of wide open. So with that being said, I think the horse might have the lead, but I don't think he'll have it long. Simulation odds. We got the 2 slightly over 7-1. You got 8-1 morning line. That 3 slightly over 3-1.
Are we going to regret back-to-back 3s, Charles?
I hope not, but I'm going for it. I'm saying no. And he's got an 8-1 on morning line, so that's a nice little overlay too. But look at the 4. The 4's even got just under 12-1. Morning line's 20-1, And the 5, you got slightly under 2-1. You got 3-1 morning line. This is the overlay race.
Mm. Well, what I have found interesting, and since we've introduced the C-zone scores, when a horse has 2 out of 3, where it's in the top out of 2 out of 3 of these categories, a lot of those horses perform well. And a lot of times you'll find too, when you get like an upset, it does have a high Z-zone score combined with a good simulation odds, or combined with a strong chance to get the lead. Speaking of which horse is going to get the lead here? If we look at the early speed, the 2 wants the lead because he's won when he's gone wire to wire. But Dashing Della might be actually one of the slower horses in here today. So if it breaks out, likely going to be a fader for you. So if it hustles out, probably going to have to go a little too fast. Maggie T, Ice to Reply, Carbon, Vodkatini. She Caught My Eye. All those horses have really similar numbers, so they can make it really a duel up front, which could hurt horses without early speed, without late pace. And Wishing on a Star does have the best late pace in the group. Also a part of the trio that has the best early pace, late pace combination in the field, though. Outside of the 2, the 6, and the 1 looks pretty competitive, Charles. And yet somehow you and I both put the 6 on top of our tickets. It might be something that we wish we would have reconsidered.
Well, no, it's the form. It's how this race, I think, is setting up. The whole 9 yards on this. The 6, is my top choice, but I do believe this is a wide open race. That's why I took a trifecta box in this race. The 6 does have some speed to keep that 3 honest. Likes this distance. Rice gets 23% going from sprint to route. Kendrick's aboard. So I think you're going to see this horse up forward a lot closer to the lead today. The 5, another one with tactical speed. You got Ortiz-Rice combo again, and cuts back in distance. Rice gets 24% second after the claim. So that's a great angle for that horse. The 1 horse, even itself has some speed. The Rail gets 28%, cuts back in distance. I mean, there's something there to like there. And even the 7 itself ran second last time, has some of that tactical speed, most likely closing. And the trainer gets 20% overall.
So Scary says, not sure if it's a good thing or not, if it's scary, but me and Charles have been on the same horse every race so far. So I think based upon your record, Scary, that's probably a good thing for Charles. But based on Charles's record, that's probably a bad thing for you.
All I can say is, Scary, welcome to the dark side. It's much more powerful over here.
Yeah, Darth Vader over there. I'm the one in black. He's the one dressed like R2-D2, and he says he's on the dark side.
All right. I'm on the dark side.
All right, so for me in this spot, yeah, I got the 6 horse too. I guess I'm with you too on this one, Scary. Maggie T does have some early speed. I've talked a bit about Trevor and horses that come from off the pace. Well, Kendrick Carmouche on speed. Yeah, you put that combination together, baby. You should have a good chance. This horse will get out. Should have a good shot in the second start off the layoff, and did run some faster fractions last time out in his first race up. So Kendrick speed, going to go for the front, just see if he can hold on. She Caught My Eye also has a little bit of early speed in here. Probably, I'd say not probably, certainly has the most upside in this race. The problem is the horse has only had 2 times before where the horse ran a second race before going to the barn. It's usually race, barn, race, barn, race, barn. The 2 times the horse had a second up affair, nasty regression in both of them. It's going to have to overcome that trend today. But if she does, really the best horse in the field. Number 7, Wishing on a Star. Again, a good fit for Trevor here, one that wants to come from off the pace, and he's masterful at saving horse for the end of the race. And if you look at through the horse's past performance lines, particularly down the LP column, you'll see at times post some very brilliant numbers. I would expect Trevor to find one of those numbers today. Dashing Della. Well, I'm going to go with the fair odds here with Dashing Della, the 2 horse with the 8-1 morning line and basically 8-1 simulated odds. And right now, with the top C-zone score in the field, pick 4 for me. I probably should have put more picks in, Charles, since I only spent $80. I have a little bit more money. I probably could put my 4 in here. But I'm going to go with the 5-6, 1-3-4-6, 2-5-7, 1A and 2, and be judicious with my money. Race 2, I think, is about to get started, my friend.
Yeah, they're walking to. Well, they're out there walking still in front of the gate.
Yeah, Scary says we got 1 minute to race 2. Yeah, some of these tracks they give you the post times, Charles, and it drives me bananas. Like it's supposed to start and then they're still kind of pooling around.
Well, you know what? I did notice that Keeneland was pretty much on time, and so far Churchill's been on time.
I think the Kentucky tracks are really good at it. It's Florida is the worst.
Oh, Florida's the worst. I mean, forget Florida.
Well, no. Hold on. No. Florida's not the worst.
They're not.
Let's get some votes down in the bottom. I think there's a unanimous choice for who's the worst in terms of being off post position. I know you know the answer to that, Sean, if you're still watching. There's unquestionably one track that they're so bad at it. Well, I guess maybe Gulfstream is the worst at it because you're not.
I thought Gulfstream was the worst, but
because you're not quite sure when they're going to start. Sometimes they start close to on time, sometimes not even close to on time. But Charlestown, well, maybe it has something to do with the name, but Charlestown is notoriously late. Like, if there's 10 minutes, if it says 1 minute to post, you still got 10 minutes to handicap.
Well, yeah, I've always thought Gulfstream was pretty bad, but yeah, you're probably right about Charlestown.
Yeah, Scary says Gulfstream is worse. Do you watch Charlestown, or is it just because Charlestown is so predictably late that that they're really on time because they're going to be 10 minutes late?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think like that. Do you ever watch Charlestown? Like, I mean, it's annoying as hell, Charles.
It is bad, I have to admit. But I never really thought of it who was the actual worst. But I was really surprised with so far the Kentucky tracks. They're pretty much right on the money.
I think the Kentucky tracks, the California tracks, they do a pretty good job of getting horses in the gates when they're supposed to be in the gates and get going. Maybe a minute or two delay to get a little bit of extra late money in there. Probably at some of those other tracks, it's to let some of that rebate house money, that big money, to come in at the end.
Let the computers place their bets.
Mm-hmm. But that's maybe a minute or so. I know in NYRA they have a rule that 5 minutes to post they cut off that stuff. I think, or maybe 5 or 2 minutes to post, somewhere along those lines. Whereas like Charlestown and stuff, your horse can leave the gate can leave the gate at 2 to 1 and cross the line at 1 to 5. All right. So race number 2 is on the march right now. And with all the scratches, the 6 horse, Icy Stare Down, is the one that has found its way to the front. And on the inside, Briskly Frolic taking up the rail second. Behind them, you're pretty much tied between the 4 and the 1. I mean, 4 and the 3, maybe. No, 4 is not in the race, so it can't be that one. It has to be some other horse. That's my bad. Well, it has to be. That's the 9 horse. All right. So going through the first turn, the 6 horse stays on the lead with the 1 trying to move outside the 6 now as the 6 has come down to the rail, trying to find its stride. The 3 horse is starting to fade off a little bit, as is the 9. The 5 horse is starting to make its move up. 6 horse maintains its lead on the rail. Looks like I kind of came out on the turn a little bit. Looks like he's extending off of the 1 right now. The jockey really hasn't asked him to do anything.
The 6 is a winner.
So 6 is going to be a winner. The 1's going to run second in here, though. Well, maybe. The 1's starting to pick it up a little bit as they come down the stretch. It's going to go, looks to me like it's going to go 6-1-5, Charles, although the 1 is trying to make up a lot of ground in the end here, but just not enough today. 6-1-5 and 3. If you look at that, Charles, that's what you call an ice cold superfecta, baby.
But I didn't want that 6, be honest with you.
I did. I singled them.
Oh, that's right. You did.
Yes. On my pick 4, complete single. So how you like that? How you like them apples, Charles? Where do you think that saying came from?
Where do you like those apples? I don't know.
You're glad it wasn't 6-5? You're glad it went 6-1-5? Why? Did you have a nice exacta there, Scary? What did you have there with that that you didn't want that 5 to finish second? That 5 was he a price still in there or not? Yeah, he was 6-1. All right. So that takes us through race number 2. Now we're going to move on to race number, I think 7, right, Charles? Is that where we were?
7, yes, correct.
All right. So Charles helping me stay on time. He's like a Swiss Army watch, not a Swiss Army knife, like our good friend Sean. Race 7, they're going to run 1 mile, optional claiming. Again, early speed outside is better than inside in terms of post position. Charles, speed does matter. outside speed matters the most, but this time they're going to just move one down spot to the 4-horse. Dufrance has the early speed, although the 3 still can perhaps take part in it.
Yeah, we got the 4-horse at 74% chance of having that lead at the quarter pole. But like you said, there's other horses in here that's going to have some speed. The 2, I think, overall is going to push that along pretty good, and possibly even the 3. But then when it comes to simulation odds, the one horse.
Did Charles freeze or did I freeze, folks? I can't tell. When there's only 2 of us, it's hard to tell who froze. So in the event, I'm going to go with this Charles because
Mine's 3.5 to 1.
There was Charles.
Oh,
You were freezing there for a moment, brother. I know that the most brilliant things you've ever said just emanated from you, and unfortunately, the universe missed it. So, what else you got?
You'll never hear I will never repeat all those praises I was giving you. Anyway, the one
I'm turning red. I'm blushing now, Charles.
Yeah, you should. The one was 2 to 1 basically. Morning line is 3.5. The 2 is just under 3 to 1. Morning line is 5 to 1, and that will be it when it comes to simulation odds.
So Scary says he went with the 2. Yeah, you got to like that low overlay right in there. I like that. You also have the high Z zone score in there. Concerning horse for me maybe is this 4-horse, because you got that early speed and you got one that has the best C zone score in there too. Again, and so far in the first 2 races, the horses that have been up on the front, they've kind of held in there. So speed is so far leading the way, although you can't really say it's a speed bias because both of the horses were the favorites. So you can't. When a long shot comes in up front, then you might say there's a little bit of a speed bias today. But there is not a lot of horses. There aren't any that have shown that they want to be on the lead as your winners. The 4-horse is the only one that's shown an inclination to be forwardly placed. Otherwise, the 1, 2, 3, and 6, they do have some flexibility in their running style. The 4-horse does have the 5-point early speed advantage. So the simulator says he's going to be on the lead. His recent running style says he's going to be on the lead. If we can bet, and this would be a great thing for horse racing, who's going to have the lead on the quarter-mile marker, we would clean up around here. 4-horse looks like it's going to be that person or that horse. BB's Busted and a few others should give good chase. As they come down the stretch, Mia Bia Star and Amity Island, they have a little bit of an advantage over the rest of this crew. And as far as the complete picture is concerned, 6-horse Sweet Mystery, Mia Bay Star, those 2, that duo has the best combination of early speed, late speed in this race, Charles. And so Scary Creations likes the 2 in this race. Who do you got?
Yeah, I had a little bit of a problem between the 2 horses, the 3 and the 2, but I leaned with the 3. Because this one actually drops in class, blinkers off, trainer gets 33% with that angle. He has the actual tactical speed, so he could do whatever, and Ortiz is aboard there. The 2, which I think is a very dangerous horse in this race, has the speed to either go wire to wire or sit right off him. One last time out, like kind of what Scary said, the horse hasn't done anything really wrong. Moves up in class, though, today. I personally think that's okay. I think he'll fit with these guys. So that's why I think it's a 2-horse race. The 1 is my 3rd choice. One last time, Rice gets 22% first after the claim. Rail helps out with a 28% there with the wins. And then the 6 is my final choice here. Ran second last time, second start after a layoff. Trainer gets 21% overall.
In race number, I'm just looking at something's got me a little bit confused at the moment. Anyway, in race number 7 for me, I'm looking at, said the pick four pool was they had a pick 4 in race number 2, right, Charles? I was depending
they
on
have a pick 4 in race number 2 and race number 3.
All right, good. So I was thinking, did we screw up there?
No.
Because I was kind of depending on you as I was putting my bets together real quick there at the end. Hustling, baby. Oh. Bustin' Bay. This one might be hustling at the winner circle. Just won at this level. Kind of interesting as running at this level again. I even looked to see if it was moving up in non-winners of 2 from non-winners of 1 to not. No, it looked like the same level to me. Has early speed. And as you mentioned, Charles, the rails did dominate the last time around at this length at the Belmont Park meet. Number 3, Sunset Louise. Definitely faced the toughest competition. Been off since October, but has a really good string of workouts in here. Sweet Mystery, top last race speed figure. Usually when this horse, and the only other time it's made a second start after layoff, posted debut, made a substantial move higher. So if we get a repeat of that off the top last race speed figure, could be a tough one to beat in here. Has been effective at Belmont 2 times out, a win and a third, and at the distance 4 times, 1 win, 2 seconds, and a third. So 100% of the money at the track, 100% of the money at the distance. And then for me, tough call between the 4 and the 2 for me, but I went with the speed horse here with a little bit of an early race advantage. And what put the silver stake in the heart for me is that the Kendrick is on this horse. You know, you get Kendrick out front. You know he likes to break sharp. You know he's going to push the horse to the lead. Let's see if he can hold on. If he's looking through his legs as they come out of that turn, you know he thinks he's got it. I'm going to do a try 1, 3, 6 over to 1, 3 over to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. Yeah, Kendrick told us point blank he wants to get to the front. And if you see him looking back, it's almost always a tell that he thinks he's got the horse to get to the finish line. So if you're putting your money on Kendrick and he's on the lead in the stretch and he looks back, pretty much start walking towards the window, which is what you like to do, right, Charles?
That's
Nowadays, you don't really do that anymore, right? You just click on your phone to the next race.
Yeah.
Race number 8, 2 races to go. In the 8th race, they're going to run around the track 6 furlongs on the inner turf, Charles. 6 furlongs on the inner turf. They does favor, well, just 2 races so far. Last year, just favored early speed in there. None won from the rail. All of the wins came from posts 4 through 7, but only 2 races. So really not much to make of any of that. In race number 8, we did get a series of scratches in here. All of the MTOs, bye-bye. So this one's on grass. Speed maybe matters. It means it has mattered in the 2, but it looks like it's, good distribution of speed in this one.
Yeah, especially with the 10 being taking a break and out of this race. The 2 is basically 24% chance of having that lead at the quarter pole. But the 9 probably will have a say in that. The 9 does have some speed to either take the lead or pressure him all the way. When it comes to simulation odds, we have that 3 horse at slightly under 8-1. We have Morning Line at 15-1. And that will be it when it comes to simulation odds.
Yeah, a lot of those MTOs gobbling up all the good data, but do have strong C-zone scores here for most of the horses in this race, except for 7 cents. Doesn't seem like it has any sense being in this race. Our way to the winner's circle worksheet for the second to last race of the day. Got a trio of horses that want to be on the lead, the 2, the 3, and the 8. They like to be up front when they win, take the field from wire to wire, and looks like Dr. Jeff has the best chance of doing that with this crew. Momos and the 8 horse, Marvelous Mike, they're way behind. So they might be up there, cheap speed fade. Could maybe make the pace a little bit too hot if they try to really press the action. If so, all these PC horses with some closing ability and tactical speed should do well. Of those at the end, well, you have a whole host of horses minus Dr. Jeff, all within 6 points of each other in late pace. When I see numbers line up like this, Charles, especially when we go over here with the early speed, late speed, there's really no difference between any of these horses for the most part. When I see races like this really comes down to positioning. It's going to be a tactical race that probably favors the horse that gets the best trip, the best horse, and maybe what they call a jockey's race, Charles. What kind of race do you think it is?
And I actually agree with that. I think that's why I'm choosing the 4, because I think the 4 has that tactical speed. He could even possibly try to take the lead, but I don't think it'd be smart. I think he would just sit second for a little bit. He won last time out. This is his 3rd start after a layoff, and Paco's aboard. So I think if he could just control that just a little bit, he could be finding himself out in front at the half-mile pole. The 5 here, it has some of that tactical speed too. The same thing. Hot trainer last 14 days. Trainer gets 18% second after the claim. So that's another one that has the same kind of running style, I believe. The 7, this horse drops in class today. He'll be closing. David Dunk gets 10% with 90-plus days rest. David's a very good trainer, so I think that percentage is a little off. He gets Ortiz to ride, so you gotta put that horse in the mix. And then the 9 is my final choice here. This horse ran second last time. Another one that kind of has tactical speed, but I think it's more on the closing part of it. Maybe he could sit close, but I think he's going to have a good kick. The trainer has 19% with 90 plus days off.
So, Mr. Charles, running with scissors, that's your pick. A double 1 from 4 over the 1A. That's a good,
Yep.
Should pay well. Running with scissors, probably one of your childhood memories. Kind of explains a lot of what's going on up here for you.
Yeah, it does.
I like the 5 horse turn of events at Belmont Park, 9 times out. 4 of those ended up in the winner's circle, a second and a third, so prefers to win. It's the kind of horse that you like to see. This one runs really well after a little bit of R&R in the barn. The last 2 times the horse had a break, came back to win, which included one of those 4 Belmont wins. Big package, Charles, that 7 horse. There's probably a joke in there somewhere. It probably has the most back class in this field. Absolutely the top Belmont record for sure. Been off since September. And the last time the horse had a similar break, did not fire the first time out. Did follow it up with a good effort. So, but the back class, you got to give it a shot. That 2 horse that you mentioned in there, Scary Creations, Dr. Jeff, really kind of had a tough trip last time out. A couple of nice maintenance workouts in between. And this horse has a ton of mid-race pop. So I'd expect this one to make a big move coming out of that sweeping Belmont turf, although on the inner turf, you're not going to get a sweeping turn. But I would imagine you'll see a nice turn out of that, nice move out of that turn as the horse builds momentum down the stretch. And then finally, the 6 horse fluid situation. It's a very difficult call for me over the 3 horse Momos, but does have the top early pace, late pace combination as we saw when we checked the EP-LP combos. Does have a very high C-zone score as well. And it's a more versatile horse as a PC type. Trifecta 257 or the 57 over the 2357, which leads us into race number 9. You see a lot of red in there again. Don't be afraid. All that red is pretty much the MTO types, Charles, in race number 9, which they're going to go 6 furlongs this time around. They're going to do it on the Widener turf track at 6 furlongs on the Widener turf track. They tactical speed does best. You have 19% of the horses when they ran here last time around. That went wire to wire, but none of them won from the rail. 2 and 3 and 8 and out were also a little bit under par, whereas the 4 through 7, those horses tore it up. They did the best in the limited runs at 6 furlongs on the Widener turf. Charles, speed, tactical speed matters. Looks like the 1A and the 10 have the most of it. Well, they have blistering early speed anyway.
Well, at least early speed. The 10 has that 57% chance of having that lead. He might go out to the front, but I think that 1A is going to keep him in check for sure at 18% of having that lead at the quarter pole. When it comes to the rest of them, I think, they're all going to be sitting mid-pack. I think those are the first 2 that we talked about right there is going to be your leaders. When it comes to simulation odds, pretty much everybody's where they're supposed to be, I guess, even the 1A.
It's a good job at setting the line there, David Aragona, who's also been on Horse Center. Great guest for sure. The guy is probably one of the most knowledgeable people in horse racing. So if you get a chance, you see David Aragona as a guest somewhere on another show, I would definitely bookmark that and watch. The guy knows what he's doing. Scary Creations, going back to race number 8, says that 7 horse does scare him a bit. Pig package. Bothers me that he ran a dull, then lay off, now up for the claim for the first time in his life. Yeah, that class is there. And you mentioned Brittany Russell, too, wins races everywhere. She does win races everywhere. She's a good young trainer. I think Larry Rivelli types, Safi Joseph's not really the youngest guy around, but he's still younger than some of the Todd Pletchers and Steve Asmussen's. I think he looks younger than those guys anywhere. Maybe they're so stressed out that their hair went more white, and Safi's will be there soon. But I think you're going to see some of those names again going forward as some of your top trainers in the sport. Wouldn't be surprised to see their names over and over and over in the big races. In the last race here, Charles, the 5 and the 10, they want to be on the lead. Question is, will either one of them have the lead? Well, according to the most recent early speed figures, 10 horse Finney's Harbor will. 5 horse Ace Upper Sleeve might get out there. Might prove itself to be a little bit of a task to stay there. Got a couple of horses here, the 2, the 3, and the 12. In their limited racing experiences, were not within 5 lengths of the leader at the finish line. So this is a maiden race, so kind of maybe discount some of that a little bit. 10 horse gets to the lead. Boy, that late pace number there says it's just going to go straight backwards. As far as late space, the 7 horse, Mr. Big Bucks, checking in along with the 1A Loon Cry and Soretta. That trio has the best group of numbers. On our final total score, big advantages for Loon Cry and Mr. 7, Mr. Big Bucks. Those two stand well above the rest of the pack. Charles, maybe one of those two stands in the winner's circle when it's over.
Yeah, and I do believe it will be the 1A. 1A is my best bet of the day. This horse ran second last time. Clement gets 30% when he tries him on the turf for the second time. And of course, once again, you're going to finish the day with Clement and Ortiz. The 7 horse is my second choice here. Drops in class today. The trainer gets 10% with 90 plus days rest. And Gomez is now taking over the duties, and because Ortiz chose the 1A, and he's with Dunk on the combo there. And this horse will be closing at the end. The 2 has some speed, but trainer gets 30% with 46 plus days of rest. Gets Frankel, so it might be pretty dangerous, especially for the minor pieces, I think. And then my final horse here, the 8. This horse has some of that tactical speed. Trainer gets 10% with 46 plus days rest, and another one that will be closing at the end.
Yeah, it's Scary saying this one is on the dirt indeed. So this one's a 6 furlonger on the dirt. Okay, so still like the 1 horse for me in here, the 1A. This is Terry's ankle, right, Terry? Whenever the trainer has a 1 and 1A, whichever one he scratches, he leaves the other one in. That's the one that Terry likes. I'm going to see that with the 1A. That absolutely Terry Angle. They're going to be a low price though. I like the 2 horse too. Admire My Crown. I think maybe it's slightly crazy pick up in here, Charles, but did show some early speed. Was better against better in terms of its in race numbers across the board last time out. Like to see that. And this is the second start off a layoff. Maybe some room for improvement. And Jessica. Jacqueline Davis was on the show this week on Monday with Sean and with Julie. So whenever we have a guest on, we always root for them. And weirdly, whenever we have guests on, the next time out, they usually do pretty good. And when I don't bet them, I feel stupid. Number 7, Mr. Big Bucks. This is only making its second start. It was like 14-1, so evenly bet in its first race. But what I like about it is it did put in an even performance. It was pretty competitive. It's kind of maintained its position from the beginning to the end. So we don't know how much upside this horse has. Could have a lot. Could win this race if it does. Whereas most of the other horses in here have had multiple chances to find the winner's circle. And then finally, I'm going to go with the 8 horse. Soretta, a little bit more consistent than the 5 horse to me. Probably one that has room to move up off the bench. Our friend Scary Creations, he likes the 12 horse in here. He feels like that horse has a pretty good shot to improve off its debut. So we'll see if that works out. More speed today. Terry says, I was right about what I was talking about there. Don't leave that main track only horse out. That is the 12 horse in there. So I think what I'm going to do, Scary Creations, because I have the ability to do that as the MC of the show. I'm going to take, I have the money to do it. Screw it. I'm going to leave the 8 in. I'm not going to hurt myself. But I'm going to add the 12 to my trifecta in there in honor of Scary. And also because he does a hell of a job picking horses for us in here too. We always take the input because you can see now we move the program numbers to the left because of somebody's contribution. So if you can think of a way that will help improve the show, let us know in the comment section. If you have picks, put them in the comment section. Want to say thank you very much. Thank you today to Nancy Griffin Cohen and Carlos Tapia for the thumbs up on Facebook. We appreciate that. Unfortunately, YouTube doesn't tell us who gives us thumbs up, but we do appreciate them nonetheless. So if you liked what you saw, please, like Nancy and Carlos, give us a thumbs up. Helps us with the algorithms a little bit. Charles, myself, Terry, and Tom, the minimum, will be back in about 7 hours tonight to preview the Kentucky Oaks, Kentucky Derby Double. You're not going to want to miss that. Should be a lot of great opinions. And I know for damn sure Tom will have some bombs because that's what Tom does. Our full picks for the card today, they look like this at Belmont with the first 2 races out of the way. It went 5, 6. Let's see if I can keep the winners in that first column all day. That would be a first. Any final thoughts before we get up and out of here, Mr. Charles?
No, that's about it. Here so far in Kentucky, the weather's nice, but it's got like a 48% chance of rain Friday and Saturday. So keep watch of the weather.
Yes, and then maybe upgrade those horses that do a little bit better in the wet than do when it is hot and dry. Again, tonight we'll be back. I'm not sure what we're going to do tomorrow. We might do something tomorrow. For certain, we'll be back Saturday. Something to do with the Kentucky Derby and the entirety of that card, or maybe a pick 4, something along those lines. We'll do that on Saturday. You're going to want to tune in for that. Then it's back to the normal hamster wheel with Terry and I on Monday and Tuesday for Parks. Charles and I will do Churchill on Wednesday. On Thursday, we'll do Belmont Park again. Not quite sure what Tom and I will do for Foreign Fridays, but I know we're starting to gear up for that Ascot, which will be early in June. That's a lot of fun. Can't wait for some of those festivals. No matter what it is you're doing for the rest of this day, getting prepped for the Kentucky Derby, the Kentucky Oaks, just relaxing a little bit before all the mayhem starts. No matter what it is you're doing, Charles, we hope that one final thing, make sure you go to Guarantee Tip Sheet, get that wagering guide. I worked too damn hard on it. You can get the link down there before. No matter what you're doing today, we hope that you have God's grace. Certainly, I hope it shines on all that work I did last night and yesterday and the day before, and that everything you do, including all of my picks in the wagering guide, Charles, end up in
the winner's circle.
Indeed. Thanks, and have a fantastic Wednesday. We'll see you. Fantastic Thursday. We'll see you tonight.